Flosstube friends, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. It's nice to see a new face. And if you're returning, I'm so happy to have you back. Well, here we are. We are all into May. Today is my Flosstube number 27. I'm kind of set up in a different place, so if I pause the video and move things around, that might just have to happen today. There's a lot of crazy going on here. It is May, let's see, what is today? The 25th. And by the time this is uploaded and all of that fun stuff, it's well into the weekend, I'm sure. So today's Thursday, and I wanted to take a moment to just carve out some time and say hello and let you know what I've been working on. I chose not to do the Crazy Mania. I do have a couple of new starts that I'll share with you, but I'm certainly not into starting a whole bunch of things all at once. That would, I think, put me way out of my comfort zone. So I just have a couple modest starts, and I actually have a finish today, and let's get into it. So hope you've all been well. I hope you're stitching on something that you're having fun with. If I time it right, I'll be able to let you know when I have something to show. So if you're just stitching away and you're focused on what you're working on, I'll let you know when something pops up. I might try to just insert pictures instead of holding up a lot of things that go in and out of focus. So again, I'll let you know. Book of Days. I don't think I showed this last time. I'm going to show you what my April ended up looking like, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So this is the Book of Days that everybody writes their projects in, and you can see up here in where I live in California, it's been warm enough. We had our first rattlesnake the end of April, so that was exciting, and I'm hoping it's the last rattlesnake that we get to see this season, but most likely we'll see them hopefully before they see us. Well, they usually let us know. Everything worked out, but it's a little scary when you first start seeing them. They're just kind of, it's, you know, I know they're not hunting us. They're just doing what snakes do. And they're pretty mellow up here, and you know, if there's an issue, they usually rattle, and that's a good thing. It lets us know that they're there. So just to say that that's why there's a snake on my April page. So let's see, what have I got going on for May? Now, I haven't been as diligent about writing every day, but I'm trying to make up for it with stickers here and there. We had Mother's Day. I hope you had a good Mother's Day if you celebrate Mother's Day alone or with people. And let's see what else. I have new starts, and let me just get on into it. So I wanted to say, first of all, hello to the stitching group that I belong to in Sacramento, California. It is something that was started through Pam and Steph, who are Just Keep Stitching here on Flosstube. Have a hashtag that they put out there saying, if you live in a place where you're not really sure if you have stitchers around you or not, go ahead and write into us, and we will put feelers out for you. So that's what Chris, who started For the Love of Stitches, did, and they put out feelers for people in the Sacramento area to join in for live stitch-ins. So I joined up with that group, and I am just loving it. We've had a few meetings, and we all get together, and the group has grown quite a bit. I think there's 100 people as of now. Not everybody meets all at the same time or can. It's just how it works into your schedule. I got to meet Sarah from Sarah's Stitchy Spot, and she is just as lovely and intelligent and interesting and fun, and she's all of those things. Like a lot of people here on Flosstube, we are just who we are. So if you like her on her video, I can trust that you will like her in person. She is delightful. And Sarah, if you're watching, I love you. So I got to sit next to her and stitch, and Melissa, who is another good stitchy friend. And I'll talk a little bit more about Melissa later on. She's so much fun to sit next to. And oh gosh, Angie, Tiny House Stitcher, Michelle Hudson from Sacramento, California. I love those ladies, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them a little bit later because we're going to start a sale together, and with Sarah as well. So that's so much fun. And Carrie, who she knew, I think she met Susan Stanley, and she has been to Sampler Symposium and has finished a couple of projects from there, and she's a beautiful stitcher. And Chantal and another Angie, who gave me this tea towel, which I love so much. I think it's a long dog sampler, and thank you, Angie. So yeah, I was riding the wave of that wonderful meetup for a couple of days after, and it's just so nice to be able to have a group of people to feel connected to that way. Let's see, what else? I want to say thank you. I have a couple of thank yous I'd like to throw out there. First and foremost, Daleen Wilson, who is so grateful here on Flosstube, out of the blue sent me a nice card. You know, I've been kind of, well, everything's good, but I don't know, we kind of ebb and flow sometimes in our energies, and I've been kind of on the lower spectrum, and she had no idea that her card and her sweet gift that she sent me would be so like needed at the time. So I really appreciate that, Daleen. Thank you. And so this is what she sent me, this really beautiful, she made this card, so grateful, and then she made this adorable floss bling I can put on one of my projects. I'm going to hold it back. Sorry, I'm in a really glary part of my... I have people in the house. There's always people in this house. But beautiful, beautiful. And the card, which I've already put into my special place where I keep my cards. So thank you, Daleen. You are such a treasure here. And in my life, I'm really grateful for you. Melissa, who is Busy BMD on Instagram, sent me, and we were talking at the Stitch meetup, and she said she had an extra jewelry case to bling up and make a special Stitchy jewelry case or Stitchy box. Would I like it? I'm like, wow, that's really sweet of you. Of course I would. I buy it from you. She goes, oh, no, and she told me the whole story. And anyway, she ended up sending me this beautiful velvet jewelry box. I think she got it from Target, and I think Kim, Contented Needleworker Kim, I think she has the same one. So I'm really excited that it's pink and it's velvety. I'm looking forward to playing around with some of my fabrics and maybe stitching something to make a pin cushion to put in. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's so many great ideas out there, so I'll have a new thing to do, like a lot of us. And the card, thank you so much. This is one of the Shakespeare's Peddler cards. Thanks, Melissa. So nice of you. Stitchy friends are the best. Okay, so let's jump into my finish. I think this is the only finish I have to share thus far, and I'm going to talk just a tiny bit about life updates, just as it pertains to stitching, as a lot of the things I try to do, I try to find time to stitch, and it's been busy here. I mean, we're into summer. It felt like we went, I think a lot of California people have said, it feels like we went from winter right into summer. It's almost like we skipped spring. And so we've had a hot weather, and things are starting to bloom, which is wonderful. Oh, I want to mention too, if I'm doing all of this correctly, the montage that you see at the beginning of my Flosstube, my son wrote the music for me, and it's just beautiful. It's not his typical type of music that he writes. He is a rocker, but I asked him to do just something, 30 seconds for me so I could have an original intro. And he came up with that for me and named it Dragonfly, which is wonderful. So, yeah, thank you, Calvin, for that wonderful song. And it's just perfect. It's like the perfect vibe for me. So all that to say that it's been busy. So the gardening has really taken on a new meaning in my life. I struggle with fingernails to begin with, and that's just kind of tossed it over the side of the boat. The fingernails, forget it. It's I'm trying to maintain some fingernails so I don't have to have them break, split, and chip. So I have new stuff I'm trying to work with. But all that to say, we've been gardening a lot and growing some food and flowers, and it's all good, but it eats into my stitching time just ever so bit. So just a little bit. So if I seem like I don't have as much, it's probably because I'm outside running around the house or running inside the house like a hamster. So here's a finish, and this is something that I've been working on for quite a while. It's by Stacy Nash. Let me see if I can hold it up without it being too glary. It's Rose Cottage Pin Keep, and one of my projects outside is a little it's a house, but it's a playhouse, okay, that we acquired when we bought this house, and we've done a lot of work to it, and we've done a lot of landscaping around it. So it's kind of like, in my mind, it's my little Rose Cottage. And so when I started working on this, I thought, well, what would I like in my Rose Cottage? So let me show you my finish here. That's where I am on it. And this is on a 36 count Picture This Plus Heartland. I used the called for flosses, but I did make one substitution. I used Classic Colorworks Pebble for the outside, just to give it a little bit more of a better border for me, because the fabric that I chose caused that to just disappear. I don't even know what I did with the pattern. I just had it in my hand, and now it's out of my hand. I can tell this is going to be one of those videos that gets paused from time to time. So what did I change? Well, the outside, as well as this line here, was all, I'm going to pause here. Okay, so on this line here, Stacy Nash charted this to have initials. I chose not to do initials, and so instead I wanted to do little motifs that I thought I would like to have inside my Rose Cottage. So I did a snail. I don't know that anybody really wants a snail, but I thought it was cute. A spool. We've got scissors. There is something that looks like a quilt square. There is something that, although I know it looks like a spoon, is a needle. The 3 motifs in the middle were already on the pattern. I did the bee, I did the crown, the watering can, and last but not least, that cricket. And there it is, it's done. It's I've said this before, this is a beast of a pin keep. It's enormous for pin keeps. I think the ultimate, or the final size was a little over 7 inches. And it's not quite square, so it's going to require some kind of creative frame or some kind of finish that I don't think I want to make it into a pillow, although it could double as something that I sleep on, and will fit snugly into one of my king-size shams. Okay, so that is that finish, and somewhere here in this pile of stuff is the actual pattern, and I'm not sure, but I'm sure when I clean up I will find it and say, ah, that's exactly where it is, because I put it there. So let's get into what I have been working on. So I've been listening to, thanks to the New Hampshire Stitcher, Lauren, the New Hampshire Stitcher, which I'm sure a lot of you are watching. She is just wonderful, and she has great projects and very calming and very interesting to watch. She does some fun things, and yeah, I'm really enjoying her. And she was talking, she does a segment where she talks about what she's listening to. It could be a podcast, and she also talks about what she's reading and what she's knitting. So I was watching her, and she was talking about the Outlander series. And I had tried to read that a few years ago, and I got into it, and then I put it down, and I thought, well, I'm going to start watching it. And I pulled it up, and I watched it with my husband for a while, and then it just got to a point where we dropped out of it, and we just didn't go back to it. And so I thought, well, if it's just me and I'm stitching, I can listen to it. So I started to listen to Outlander, and I've been stitching a lot of different things while I've been listening. It's been really enjoyable to listen to that series, and yeah. So this is one of the things I've been working on. It's called Harriet Goddard, and I started this with my friend Andrea Caffrey, who is Fillin69 on Instagram, and we started it together as a Sal, and she's already finished it. I'm still working on it. It's by Hands Across the Sea, long and narrow. A lot of people have done this. It's a beautiful stitch. Let's see what I'm working this on. Harriet Goddard is on 40 count Geo Vanilla by Tropical Stitches, and it's the Victoria Clayton silks, and that's where I am. The silks are great. I love these colors. So what I've done is finish the upper part, and then came down. I wanted to be able to cut off my fabric, so I went down and across, so I know how much room I'm going to have to leave, and I'm loving it. Really pretty. So it does have a few specialty stitches, and I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer. This motif right here has half, the first leg of the cross is in red, and the second leg of the cross, I believe, is in pink. And it just gives a really cool shaded effect. I don't know if it's going to show up. One of these days I'm going to actually film on my phone, which has an awesome camera. What I find I like to do is film on my iPad, and then I go back and I can edit on my iPad. It just makes it easy instead of editing on my computer, which I could do as well. I'm just being lazy. it's nice to be able to, the iPad's so portable and I can sit in the living room and kind of go through. It's bird time. Sorry. So that is Harriet Goddard and the beautiful Victoria Clayton silk pack. And it's small enough that I'm going to have a lot of silk left over, and this lives in the bag that Andrea made for me. And I know she's headed over to, she is going to StitchCon. Lucky girl. I think she's in weekend B. If you see Andrea Caffrey, give her a hug for me. Hi, Andrea. Have fun. And she's going to be stopping at her relatives. I think she's visiting her son in Texas, and that's where she's originally from. So, yay. Let's see here. What else have I been working on? I'm going to talk a little bit about random things. I'm going to grab this one. So the Scarlet Letter, I know a lot of us have been working on Brenda's big birthday sale. I haven't really made a lot of progress on it, but I did pull it out and work on it just a little bit this month. That's what it will look like. It's by the Scarlet Letter, and there's a stitch along organized, so people are keeping up with it every month and working on trying to, make completions. I just have a lot of stitch alongs going on, so I didn't participate that way, but I am trying to make some progress on it. So just the tiniest little bit there. And this is on a piece of Tephra by, it's Trixie Tricycle here on Flosstube, and she has Cedar River Linen and Design Company, and this is a very good neutral for samplers, for anything really, but it's beautiful. And I have a 40 count, and I'm using Called for DMC. So this is on my roller frame. And yes, enjoying that. So I picked that up again and put a few stitches into it. What else do I have going on here? I don't think I showed this last time. This is something that I have been wanting to do ever since I started watching Saltbox Stitcher, Carol the Saltbox Stitcher. This is Harriet Elizabeth Coe, and it's by Brenda Gervais. This is the original on the cover there. And for this one, I got a little bit smarter, and I actually pulled out these library cards that I had purchased specifically for this. And I have this by, let's see, this is a 36 count Dirty Teacup by Needle and Flax. It's probably my favorite linen at the time right now. I love it so much. And I am doing all the called for flosses, but I have one sub I'll talk about in a second. So this is where I am on it. It's not ironed, which I think you'll forgive me, right? Oh, this is just gorgeous. And that's where I am. So I worked a little bit on the bottom. I got some of the over one done. Actually almost all of it done. I have a little bit at the end there, and then work my way up. And the thing about this I love so much is it's not very big, and I really love the colors. So what I have subbed out, I've done all of the called for flosses except for the red. I wanted it to be more bright. I think it called for pomegranate. Let me make sure. It calls for pomegranate by Gentle Arts, and the pomegranate that I had was more pink, and I wanted it to be more of a bright red with some variegation, so I picked Tulip by Classic Colorworks Belsois, and that is the Tulip. It has a lot of good variegation in it, and that's the way it's looking so far. Really enjoying it. And randomly working on it, not picking it up any other time than I just feel like it. So that's where we are. And it's a simple stitch. I mean, I think I got the hard part over with, right? The over one, but I mean, it's not hard. It just takes a little bit more concentration for me. And yeah, so clipping along on that one. Let me put it back in its bag so I don't lose track of where it is. And yeah, these are just off Amazon. If I can get it together, I'll link where I got them, and they have a little sticky on the back, so when I'm all done with it and I have it framed, I can just keep it, just stick it right on the back, and it has the information on it and what I used and all that good stuff that someday I'll want to look back at when I do another floss tube, and I want to tell you guys what I used on that. So let's see here. Moving on, the ES Spot motif sampler, and I believe I was watching Celeste Creates when she showed this, and I had to go get it. I found it on 1884 Stitchery. McKenna has, as you know, gotten the rights to reproduce some of the really harder to find samplers that were out of print, and we're going for an arm and a leg on eBay, secondary market, things like that. And so this is one of those stitches that I had wanted to do, but I thought I'd never get to do, so it was nice to find it there. I am using the called for flosses for this. Did I sub anything out? I don't think I did. Nope. I'm using all the called for flosses, and this is on a 40 count platinum. So it's my first time using platinum, and that's where I am. And I got up to the squirrel, and I got that motif above it started, and just loving it. That red is Turkish red, which is very close to me to the Tulip by Belswell, but it's a cotton. It is by, who's Turkish red by? Weeks Dye Works. So, yes, that's where I am on it. Oh boy, do I love those tulips. Tulips, and it looks like carnations and berries. So there's all kinds of fun going on in this, and so many great motifs. So if you're interested in that one, head on over to 1884 Stitchery, and you can download the PDF. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And go to town, have fun with it. It's lovely, fun to stitch, and I believe it's all, I think it's all over 2. I don't think there's any over 1. All right, let's see, what else do I have here? I'm gonna do my, do I have my MMEW? I know I have it up here somewhere. Oh, I do. I was just working on this one this morning. You know, I'm gonna take it out of the Q snaps. I'm gonna pause right here, and then I'm gonna show you this one. Okay, I am back, and this is where I am going to insert here a picture of MMEW. It is by, let me see if I can pull it out, Samplers and Such, and I've shown this quite a bit. I used all my own flosses. I started out with the called for flosses, mostly DMC, and then I just grabbed other colors as I felt like it. So I did all the bottom motif. I'm working up, and now I get to do all of the alphabet at the top, which is quite a bit of eyelet stitching. So I'm not really happy with myself for putting that off, but there was really no way around it unless I wanted to jump all over the sampler, and I really had wanted to start from the bottom up. So, sorry, just knocked out. Let's see where I am. And that's where we are. So this is on a piece of Lakeside Vintage Light Exemplar, 40 count. Like I said, mostly DMC, a little bit of, there's a couple of silks in there, and yeah, the Adam and Eve at the bottom. I believe I'm pretty sure the apples on this tree were different colors, like gold and orange and gold. They were pretty, but I decided I wanted red apples, and I've just kind of gone rogue on it and done all kinds of different colors in different places. And now I'm working on the eyelet alphabet. I was going to do Smyrna crosses, and I thought, well, might as well go with, a true eyelet. So that's what I'm doing. It's going to take a while. But there's an eyelet alphabet, there's a couple of borders, there's a scripty alphabet, and then at the very top there is baskets with flowers. So quite a bit of stitching left on this one. But I love it. One of my all-time faves. It's just crazy. There's a lot going on there. And I've been throwing little motifs in of my own, coming up with corgis and cats and whatnot. So who knows? I might have to throw a pink lobster on there somewhere. I was watching Stitching Bunny, who is just wonderful. She's got great floss tubes, and she's such an amazing stitcher. The samplers that she has completed, I know you're probably already watching her. She's just incredible. And she posted, or she put a video on, and it had, I think it's Sloboda is the last name of the girl. Lisi, Lisi, Sloboda. That sampler, I'll put a picture here. And I posted it on Instagram saying, this is my new, I've never had a unicorn chart, but I do now. I would love to stitch that, but it's out of print. Anyway, I put it on my Instagram saying, hey, this is my unicorn chart. And I think people thought that I had actually found the chart, which I have not. But now I'm thinking, I might be able to the thing I really loved about it was the pink lobster that's in that chart. I could put a pink lobster in here somewhere. I don't know. I might have room to tuck it in somewhere. But I can add it somewhere on a different sampler if I wanted to. But MMEW 1847. Let's see. Florence Mary Dickinson. And this is by Hands Across the Sea. A sale that was started, and this is one that I am trying to keep up with. It was started by Traditional Stitches in Canada. I think I have that correct. And I ordered the chart. Was it Hobby House? You know what? Now I better look and see. Well, I'll put it in here where it's from. Could be Hobby House. Let me open up. Now I'm curious. So I am using the Victoria Clayton silk and 40 count vintage pearled barley by Lakeside. I believe it's Hobby House Needleworks. And again, it's on a Q-snap. So let me just undo the top part, and I should be able to show it to you without taking it completely off. And that's where I am. These silks are beautiful. And I think I was a little bit ahead, and now I think I need to kind of push on it to catch up. I'm not really sure, honestly, because I haven't really picked it up this month. I was ahead on the last month, so I think this month I need to kind of hustle on it a little bit more. I carried down the border, and Worked a little bit more on the border, adding the flowers and the leaves. And yeah. Oof, this one's good. Don't you love Lakeside? If I lucked out and I found this at Needle in a Haystack, I was there in person and I couldn't buy it fast enough. Oh, so pretty. Is it 40? I think it's a 40 count. I just said that, so yeah, 40 count. And that's the thing about these Victoria Clayton silks. They look so good on 40 count. It looks good on 36 count, but boy, the coverage on 40 count is really rich. It's lovely. So that is another Sal. Can't get enough. I cannot get enough of the Sals. It kind of keeps me on track for a little bit. Keeps me on track. Not all of them, but I do my best. Okay, let's see here. Do I have another one I'm going to show you? I'm going to pause here, do just a little bit of a cleanup, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and look what I found. Here it was. My Rose Cottage pin keep. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go on to, I have a couple more current whips that I thought I would throw out here. So I've also picked up a little bit, I started this quite a while ago, Scattered Seed Samplers, Catherine Dickinson, 1840. And my friend Susan Stanley was really trying to focus on 1830s and 40s, I believe. So this would fall into that category. I love that era too. I think 1830s is probably my all-time favorite era for samplers just because of the symmetry. Usually what happens on one side happens on the other. I don't know what it is about my brain that loves that, but that is something that I love to look at. So not quite as far as I hoped, but I'm making small progress on this. So I have finished the border, or the alphabet at the top and her name. Underneath that is another border, and then I get down into all the motifs. So I would say, as far as the area goes, I am halfway there. And I'm going to tell you what I'm using. I am using 36 count Dusty Road by Seraphim Fabrics with the called for flosses, but I subbed out this red. The red is Silk by Soie Crystal, and it's a Karen silk, and it's 2013, that red. So it's a very bright red. And again, that's where I am on it. And I'm going to hold the pattern up here for you too, so that you can see the motifs that I get to work on. Ooh, this one is a good one. It's got a nice bird on there. Looks like a robin. So not a terribly big sampler. It's, let's see, it just says 844 wide by 819 high. I don't see a stitch count on this, but I'm sure it's on the inside. So yeah, it was originally stitched on 32 count fabric. So mine's going to be a little bit smaller than that, smaller than 8. It's probably going to be around 8 by 8. And that'll be fun to frame in a square frame if I can find something, or I'll probably get my husband to cut one for me. Now that we're into getting out into the outside areas in our summer months, he can be out in his shop a little bit later in the day, which is nice. And this lives in this bag. And there's that one. I have one more current whip, oh, I wanted to show this in a bit. Okay, so let's go on to new starts. I only have, I think, 3 new starts for May. That's not bad, but I have more planned, I think, coming up. So the first one is a bit of a big deal for me. I have never been into Mirabilias until I saw a couple of patterns that well, let me back up a second. So Janet, who has another stitching group that I have joined and hopefully we'll get to go to again soon, does Mirabilias, and not exclusively, but she does work on them quite a bit. And I was at her stitching meetup, Stitchin' and Bitchin'. Hi, Janet. And she brought out some of her Mirabilias. And I think once you see it in person with all of the sparkly things on it and just how absolutely beautiful they are, it kind of gets in your brain that you need to stitch it too. You need to stitch a Mirabilia. So I've been thinking, okay, a lot of people just do Mirabilia May, and that's all they work on. And I thought, well, I'll start a Mirabilia. And so I started a search for what I wanted to do, and I found one that is perfect for me. And this is called The Baker's Wife. There's a couple, but this was the one I chose. And I found it completely kitted without the fabric, and I'll talk about that in a second. So this is the actual pattern. And you can see it's that 18th century version of, dress that looks like a cupcake to me. So how perfect that she's holding a cupcake, and just all the colors, and just, oh, I love it. It's fabulous. So I purchased that, and I got it with all of the flosses and beads, and it's on 32 count, which I'm going to talk about in a second. So I did put it on floss drops, but it's super long so that I can do the loop method to start. You double it up. If you're in question about what the loop method is, if you just Google that, put that into your YouTube search, there's a lot of great tutorials on how to do it. It's super simple. But I do that with this, anytime I'm working with 32 count, 2 strands of floss, I will do the loop method to start. It makes it a lot easier. And I made this bag for it to go into. It's not a bag, it's a project folder by Elizabeth Ann Ken Stitch. She did one of the tutorials that she did was for this type of project folder. Inside I have a place to put my flosses and a little magnet, and just makes it simple. And so that is where it lives, and let me show you where I am on it. Now, this is my first time doing a Mirabilia, so I can't say that I'm just like rip-roaring having a great time. It's it's a 32 count, so I have to stitch with 2 strands of floss, which sometimes I forget, and I'll start with 1. And so when I do, and I catch myself, rather than rip it all out, I'll just go over that top leg again. So I'll add another strand of floss on it, and it works out fine. So I'm going to show it to you. So the fabric I ended up going with is something that I dyed myself, and I'll explain how I did that. It was quite simple. And I used a Lugana. Do I have it the right way? I do. And I started at the upper portion in the center. I know a lot of Mirabilia stitchers do start in the center, so I wanted to do that just to make sure I had enough fabric and I wasn't going to run out, and I could get the important parts in, and if I needed to modify the outside of it by not stitching all of it, then that's fine too, but I have enough. So what I did, this is like I said, a Lugana, and I had previously dyed it a type of it was kind of a light tan, just very, very subtle, and it was too light. And I had wanted to have it have enough color that the white parts of the pattern, there's quite a bit of white, would show up, and the light pinks in her hair. So I did, it's a RIT dye called Pearl Gray. And I did a low immersion, so I just have a big kind of a tray, deep tray, and I got it wet and I kind of bunched it up, and I put 2 tablespoons of the dye in with 2 cups of boiling water and mixed that up, and then I just poured it over the top. Now the neat thing about the Pearl Gray in RIT liquid, it's not too dark. It kind of just made it moody, if you know what I mean. I think it would look good over a white. You can't really see the tan parts in it, but that's okay. I'm happy with it. So that's my start. Now I'm at that part where I'm doing her hand, and I'm not a huge fan of the fractional stitches, but it is what it is. That's part of Mirabilia, is all those fractional stitches, the half, the quarter, and all of that. So I'm trying to get a hang for that, and I know that once I get it outlined with the back stitch, it will all come alive. But yeah, I made some mistakes and I had to rip it out and redo it, but you know, I'm learning. It's going to be a process, but I think ultimately I'm going to be absolutely in love with this once it's done and has all the beads on it. I have this on my Millennium frame, and I wanted to do that. It's easy to take it off and on if I do decide to shelf it for a while. This could be a year or more of me doing it. I don't have any specific plan for when I want to finish it. I just want to have fun with it as much as I can, and I love the colors. So that is a new start, and clipping along on it. That's kind of been on my frame now. In the morning I like to do standing up at my frame 2-hand stitching, and that's been on there pretty much the entire month. I'm ready to take it off my frame and do something else in the morning now, but we'll see. Maybe I'll put it back on. We'll see. I have another new start, and this is something that I just had to get from, oh well, back up for a second. Market came out, and Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery, she has some really great pieces that I wanted, and one of them was a basket. I think it was a spring basket, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put a picture here. And I really like that one too, but then I started to look at her other baskets that she's done, and I really loved the summer basket. So I went on, I think it was on 123 or Etsy, I can't remember where I found it, but I bought it. I love the green in the basket. Let's see if I can get a little bit better shot. You know the thing about Pansy Patch, it has a real Blackbird Designs feel to it, and I'm not saying she's copying Blackbird at all, but it's that free-flowing kind of feel that you have going on with the foliage and the flowers. Just has that Blackbird feel to me. I love it. I love her designs. And so I bought that, and I got all of the flosses and used my favorite. I had a piece of this that I had cut off a different project, 36 count, dirty teacup, and that's where I am. I just, you know, a couple days of stitching on it, not very much. I got the bottom, and you know, the bottom, I'm not even sure if you can see that there are, next to the purple flowers, there's like a lighter purple, but I'm not sure if I really like it. I might rethink that. I don't really want to pull it out, so if I end up doing that, I'll do one at a time. Like pull out some, stitch it, pull out some, stitch it, go on and do other things, come back. So yeah, enjoying this. And that's been enjoyable, and that's going to be taking the place of my Rose Cottage pin keep. When I stitch at night, I like to work on something that has a little bit bigger of a count of fabric, if you know what I mean. Something that's a little bit easier for me to see with in the dark if we're watching TV. So that's probably going to be my evening stitch now. One more new start that I'm really excited about. So Christy from Daisy K Primitives, and I know there are multiple stocking sals out there. I think Angie, the Tiny House Stitcher, is doing stocking. She and Michelle, I think, did it for July. I think, ladies, it was July. And I have wanted to do this. Oh yeah, because Angie is doing a Carriage House sampling Quaker stocking, I think, and she's doing it in purple or lavender. It's so gorgeous. And I think Michelle is doing the same one. So I have had this in my stash for quite a while, the sampler stocking. And this is what Christy from Daisy K's Primitives is doing as well. And I watched a couple of her videos and I just said, that's it. I can't stand it anymore. I have to start it. So I have the called for flosses. However, I do have a sub that I'll talk about. I'm doing this on 36 count parchment by Weeks Dye Works, and this is, forewarning, huge piece of fabric. 36 count. This is going to be a big stocking, which makes me so happy. And this, it won't go quite that long. Oh, it definitely won't go all the way down there, but it's going to take up quite a bit of this piece. And this is where I am. Now with this one, I did decide to do Smyrna crosses for the eyelet stitches. I was anxious to get down to that bird, so I worked the top border. I did down the side and went right into this, and then I realized I was off by one stitch on the eyelet stitches, but you'll never, only I know now, and you now. And so it will work out fine. I just need to stay on track with the modification I have made. And yeah. So I will probably be doing that. I think it's Thursday. I want to say Thursday, or I know Pam and Steph were talking about stocking Sunday. I don't know, every day's a good day to work on a stocking is what I'm thinking. So I'll just pick it up and work on it. And I have a few of the other Carriage House sampling stockings as well. I like the way it kind of wiggles at the end of that toe. And so, yeah, this one is a good one. What is the change I made? I think I did everything except for the vines, which are, they feel like a darker green. The green I had that it called for just was not reading as dark as I wanted it to. So I subbed it out. It's all DMC except for TGA, Piney Woods, and that's the sub for the vines. And I think the man's jacket is going to be that color too. And I don't know if I'm going to keep her dress white or if I'll make it, I kind of feel like making it red. Maybe I'll make it pink. I don't know. So we'll see what I end up doing. I am enjoying that one though. So that is all of my current new starts, and I have new starts planned, and I'm going to clean up a little bit and then I'm going to talk about those. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I'm back. So I, along with Angie, the Tiny House Stitcher, Michelle Hudson from Sacramento, California, and we just threw this on Sarah from Sarah's Stitchy Spot are going to host a sale. I hope, Sarah, you're on board with this. We just kind of ran it by you at the last minute, but I hope you get to join, that you want to promote it and be a part of this sale. It all started, let's backtrack here. So it all started because Angie did a finish for Michelle that was from the Prairie Schooler. It was one of the Prairie Schooler Angels from book number 42. I'm going to show you the chart. And this is a reprint. If you have the original, that's great, but a chart is a chart. Mine is paper, and I'm fine with that because I really just want to stitch these beautiful angels. Now, Michelle had finished, I believe Michelle did, I want to say she did this one. I could be wrong about that. Angie finished it into the most beautiful finish. If I can get permission, I will insert a picture right here of Angie's finish for Michelle. And I saw that finish and I said, that's it, I need to do that. And so we were at one of our stitching meetups, and I told her how much I really loved it and that I wanted to do it. And she said Michelle said she was planning to do another one, and would we like to do a sal? And we all said yes. And so we decided to do an angel sal. Now the hashtag for this, I know, like we all need another sal, but this is a good one. We have Christmas in July coming, right? Now angels are not just for Christmas. And I think maybe on my next floss tube, I'll pull out all the charts I have that have angels on them, or cherubs. Cherubs could work too. So it doesn't have to be this exact chart, but if you'd like to get this, you can go on 123 Stitch, bingo bango, and get it kitted up while you're on there and start at your leisure. We are going to start, it's hashtag any angel sal. So any angel you want to participate in, it could be a big piece, or it could be something on the smaller scale. You could do a Christmas ornament, or it could just be an angel that's on a chart already. If you want to post to that hashtag, then we can all support each other and follow along. I'm choosing with Michelle, I think we're going to do, I really love this one. I love them all, but maybe the bird, the dove. And I got all the DMC, and I also pulled out some etoile. So I'm going to show you, I have a piece of 18 count Ada in black. I wanted it to be black, and I wanted to also enjoy the stitch. So I decided I would do Ada, stitch 18 count, and stitch one strand of floss over one Ada square. And I have, like I said, I got all the called for flosses, but then I pulled out some etoile that I could add in there. So I don't see if it reads. Etoile never quite reads on the camera how sparkly it is. You can kind of see. It's a very subtle sparkle. It's not over the top. It's just beautiful, subtle, and very enjoyable to work with. It is easy to stitch with. It doesn't kink up or bunch up. It doesn't get all knotted up. It's very nice. So I pulled a couple of etoiles that I'm probably going to throw in there. And we're going to start July 1st. So if you are so inclined, I hope you'll consider joining along for any angel sal, and it would be fun to have a bunch of people stitching angels for the month of July, or as long as we feel like stitching them, right? It could go on and on. We'll see. So that is the new hashtag, and that's one of the new starts. And while I'm at it, I'm going to talk about Elizabeth Isles, because I'm probably going to pull this out in July since it's any angel sal, and this would fall into that category too. This is the Elizabeth Isles that we did for Laura, Modern Maud and Mozart on Instagram, and the Serial Starter, as we know and love her here on Flosstube. And this was started a while ago for her birthday. And let's see, I'll pull it out and show you. I haven't worked on it, which is terrible, but I made a mistake on the border. You know what that's like. And so I've been trying to backtrack and retrack. And this is on, I'm doing it with the call for DMC, but I'm subbing out skin tones and other colors now that I'm personalizing the angels to reflect people in my life. So this is 36 count sand, which is one of my favorite, all-time favorites. And that's what I'm doing. I'm working on the angels to have a little bit more individual personalities and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to pull this out in July as well and give it some hashtag love for any angel cell. So it doesn't have to be something that you're going to start new. It could be something that you're working on currently. That's not my only angel sampler that I'm working on. Almost every sampler that I have going, that's not true, not almost every, but there are quite a few samplers that I have going that have angels on them. So pick something that you already have going. Just remember the hashtag and follow along with us or post for us. Okay, now we're into that part that I show you what I've been purchasing. I don't have a lot, so but I do want to show you a couple of things here. And again, this is going to fall into a big, juicy thank you to a stitcher, Angie, who is in our group that we stitch with. I missed her last time, she wasn't there for the Love of Stitches in Sacramento. Angie is on Instagram. I will put her handle here. She is a beautiful stitcher and a very kind, generous person. She, like I said, gave me this tea towel, which I had seen it at her house. She had it, I think she has it framed, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And she said, oh, I have another one. And she gave it to me, and Angie, it's beautiful. I love it, and I probably will end up framing it because it's so cool. Certainly won't be wiping my hands on it anytime soon. But she gave me the Anna Oman chart that I've been working on, and she gave me this. She was there, and she was like, well, Sarah was sitting next to me from Sarah's Stitchy spot, and she was sitting on the other side, and she had brought this, and so she asked if either one of us wanted it, and Sarah already had it, and I believe Sarah has started it. Pretty sure she has started it. I could be wrong about this. This is the highly sought after Birds of a Feather, what's it called? Happy Hearts sampler. And I had a eBay search up for this, but I haven't been able to find it. And I know that McKenna from 1884 Stitchery had it for a moment, and then something happened and that it's not on her site anymore. And I was sitting on my hands when she made the announcement that no, she actually did not have the rights for this. And so I was just like, I can't believe I didn't buy it. And so Angie showed up to our stitching group, and she had it and offered to sell it to me, which I couldn't buy it fast enough. I was very happy to get it. It is, I'll be blowing it up. I'm going to have to take a picture and, put it into my good notes and enlarge it so that I can really see it, because it is on the smaller side, but it's beautiful. It's such a cool design. I still have to find fabric. I don't have fabric, although I do have some of the flosses pulled from my stash of flosses. So that I have ordered the rest of the flosses. Those are on the way. And once I get those, then I will be figuring out what kind of fabric I want to use. If I want to do a 36 count, or I kind of like the 36 count idea. I've been enjoying 36 count lately. It just is easy to see, and easy to stitch on the fly. So that might be what I do, and I probably will end up dyeing something unless I find something in my stash that I feel is perfect. But that kind of warm, I think it was originally on, let's see what they used. It was originally on 36 count Meadowlark by Birds of a Feather. So they must have dyed fabric to go with it, which is no longer, as we can, it's no longer a thing. So I'll either figure out how to dye something that looks kind of similar, or I'll find the perfect piece of fabric. But that will definitely be a start. I might do that as birthday start. My birthday is in July. Oh, while I'm talking about it, Barbara the Raspberry Stitcher and Kim the Contented Needleworker Kim, they both have birthdays in July, so we've decided to all do a stitch along of some kind together, and I'm not really quite sure what we're going to do yet. I do like the idea of doing something out of the Blackbird books, but I don't know. Well, we haven't really narrowed it down quite yet, but we're going to try and get that done soon. And get a birthday start organized. But so I've got a birthday start for my angels here with Michelle and Angie and Sarah. So that'll be a birthday start, but that's little. I can start more than one thing for my birthday, right? Yes. Let's see, what else do I have? I have a couple other things. I have a couple pieces of fabric. Now I'm always intrigued to see how the fabric looks. So I got just two pieces here. I was on Facebook. I belong to Stash and Loading Cross Stitch Only, that Facebook group, and I'm usually way too slow to get anything. I'm usually up and it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna check that site out, and I go to look on there and it's like everybody's already claimed everything. But this time I was lucky. I got a piece of 40 count, and this is by, it's a hand-dyed fabric, and it's by Crazy Hamster. Oksana, I believe is her name, and she just does small batch things. She puts them onto the Facebook group, and you claim it with me, please, and she sends it out. She sends you an invoice, you pay it, and she sends it to you. It's beautiful. It's a great system. And I got a great piece of fabric. So this one is called, she doesn't have real names for them. They're usually like, it'll say the DMC colors that would be used to describe the fabric. So you can look at the DMC colors and go, oh, okay, well, it's DMC 3782 and 842. Those are kind of the two colors that we're going to see in this piece of fabric. So from that description, then you can decide if that's something you want to add. So I'm going to show you the fabric here. It's beautiful. Oh yeah. I love it. Love it, love it. So like I had mentioned in my last Flosstube, I want to do my own fabric of the month club, where I'm just picking a fabric and that's it. I'm adding to my stash. This is the other side of it. So you can see they're pretty different. It's pretty different from one side to the next. That's one. I'm going to flip it over for you. And then this is the side that has the sticker on it. Either one you can stitch on. So I don't know which side I'm going to use and what I'm going to use it for, but it feels like it's very similar. I've never had a piece of tabby cat linen, but this almost feels like that degree of modeling. And so if you're interested, just keep your eye peeled for Crazy Hamster, and she is, like I said, on Facebook, And it's usually in the mornings when I see her things, and I'm usually too late for them. So yeah, that's a good piece. Okay, this one is another piece of fabric, and this is kind of a bit of a sad story, but not really, I guess. It's just a story. Tropical Stitches, I believe her name is Laura, is based in Florida, and I've been purchasing her fabric for a couple of years now from time to time. And Celeste Creates mentions her quite a bit. That's her favorite fabric dyer, for good reason. And she, I believe, now is going to be scaling back her presence in the dyeing community. She is going to be offering her pieces of fabric through like direct only. So if you'd like to investigate and see if you can get on her mailing list, that's how I got this piece. She sends out emails to everybody that's on her list, like repeat customers, and you have first crack at the fabric that she sends out, and she just will do the same thing that Oksana does. She will send you an invoice. You pay the invoice and any specifics that you want, and then she sends it out to you. So I got a piece of 36 count. It's a special cut that she had, 27 by 27, and it's called Nicolina. And it's a gorgeous sampler color. Very lightly modeled. It's got a beautiful feel to it. I've said it before, her fabrics are fabulous. I really love the subtle modeling. She clearly puts a lot of effort into how she presses her linens. And beautiful. So again, Tropical Stitches. And I hope you can get on her mailing list. So if you'd like to add some of her beautiful fabric to your stash or work a project that you have in mind, I can't say I loved every single piece I have ever gotten from her. And so pretty. So I'm going to put those two together so you can kind of see the difference. This is the Nicolina that I just showed, and this is the hand-dyed fabric by Crazy Hamster. Different completely vibes, right? So this one would be a really good primitive prim, and this would be, I'd do Hands Across the Sea on that, which I probably will. But both absolutely beautiful. This one has a little more pink, and this one a lot more deep browns, little rusties, and a lot more personality. So that is my fabric story today. I have this book that I wanted to show you. This is a book I found at the thrift store. You've probably seen stuff like this, but I wanted to show you because it made me laugh what I saw inside. Okay, so cross-stitch samplers, and I had seen it a couple times. It was only $1 at the thrift store. It's by Better Homes and Gardens, and I'd seen it a couple times, and I thought, I have enough samplers that I don't need another, Better Homes and Gardens book, do I? And this kind of, it's a little dated, a lot of backstitch, but great projects nonetheless. And these are both fabulous. I would do both of these. So cute. So I'm going to tell you the year of this in a second. Let me see if I can find a year. Copyright 1986. No wonder there's a little bit of backstitch, but really unusual ways to be doing samplers. I think this is a Sudbury table, which good luck finding that now, Catherine. Sudbury boxes, they're hard to find, and they're expensive, right? But, oh, this one I thought was really pretty. It's kind of that, is it Delft pottery and tile work that you would have seen on Dutch samplers. Okay, now we're getting into my territory that I think is a little crazy, and yet I would totally do. So now we have a rug worked in the sampler motifs. So let me describe this a little bit. So there's no better way to have your cross-stitch project always underfoot than with this charming embroidered rug. Adapted from the sampler alphabet featured on the preceding page, the rug is another example of versatility. So for a similar design, cross-stitch on 4 mesh to the inch Penelope canvas using 3/4 inch wide strips of ecru polished cotton and 9 printed fabrics. Strips of fabric. I'm crazy enough to want to do that. There's another one in here that, okay, I'm just going to flip to the one I think is hilarious because, and yet not hilarious because I would do it in a heartbeat. My sister was over here. Sorry for the bird. It's done. My sister was over, and she was helping me with a sewing project that we're working on together, costuming. And I had this book, and I was pulling it out, and I was showing her pictures in it. And this, okay, so it's a child's director's chair with a bright yellow, and it's a sampler. And she just said, "Why?" And I said, "Are you sure we're related? I would so sit in something like that. I want to do it just to do it. I love it." 1986, they had some good things going on then. One more thing I have that I purchased that you might be interested in is that I believe this is the latest issue. So display until June 19th. Cross stitch. Just cross stitch. And it's got some really good patterns in here. And the reason I purchased it, I was talking about Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery and how I really love her designs. And she is actually featured in this magazine. Let me see if I can find it. I should have earmarked it. But she's featured, here it is. It's called Peacock Manor. This right here was worth, you know, buying the whole magazine for. Isn't that pretty? I don't know when I'm going to do it. But again, that's what I'm talking about. It does kind of have that blackbird feel to me a little bit. And I like the bricks on the house, the wonky stars at the top. And she's a quilter as well, so there's all the quilt motifs in there, the stars. Colors are really pretty. So, yes, I'll be doing that. And there's a lot of great, there's all kinds of really cool, oh, this one's nice too. Allison Peterson is called Dance in the Moonlight, and it's like a moth and fireflies. Really fun summer projects in here. Need some fun summer projects. This one's cute. This is by Kathleen Hughes Simpson, and it's called Country Life. I like the quilts at the bottom and the top. And that's it. That is all of what I have to share today. I hope you'll join me for the hashtags that we're going to do, and tag me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @Trinkety, and I love to follow people that are doing samplers, that are doing mirabilias, blackbird. I mean, I love it all. I really appreciate people that post on Instagram. It really brightens my day and it gets me going creatively when I'm feeling a little stuck. I know Sherry Colorado Cross Stitcher just sent out an email blast that has her latest kind of newsletter on it from her shop, the Colorado Cross Stitcher, and she talked about how to get unstuck if you're feeling like creatively stuck stitching wise, and watching other Flosstubers or going through your stash and digging through, and that is usually enough to get me going. If I just start to look through some of my patterns and some of my fabrics, it kind of picks me up a little bit and gets me moving in, it nudges me in a direction. So I hope you're stitching all the things that you love to stitch, and I hope you're having a great time of year, whatever your weather looks like where you are. And I wish you many peaceful hours with your needle and thread. Bye, everybody.